Okay, hi Margot. All right, let me get to the live chat. Is this it? And then as I get on here, I feel a terrible headache. And then I'm like, I need to take some ibuprofen before we get started. So I'm going to go take some ibuprofen before we get started. And I will. What is this? Okay. Pop this over here for a second, and I will be. I'm just going to grab my ibuprofen. It's right over here, and I'll be right there. But we'll talk about Rex Heuermann and the planning document they found on a 2000 a laptop. A Word document on a laptop that he created in the year 2000. I feel like Conan O'Brien. In the year 2000. Yeah, well, he created this document in the year 2000, and it listed the different planning items, problems. Hang on. Okay, that's better. And let me just take a cracker or something. Let me take a strawberry. I'll take a strawberry. We had a full day out, but we got taken care of what we needed to be taken care of. Okay. Hi, Adelaide. How are you? Found me again. When did you lose me? When did you lose me, Adelaide? I didn't know you lost me. Hi, White Angel. So they're also going to charge him. We're getting ready to charge him with. They've always been talking about more murders, right? That they're going to charge him with. Now they're up to like 6, and this planning document is something else. Hi, Moonchild Pink. How are you? So we're going to talk about that. You lost me in December? Oh gosh, how did you lose me? All you have to do is Mommy Ramblings blog. You'll find me. So, I'm glad you found your way back. So what happened with this Pennsylvania lady, she allegedly killed 3 roommates, all in their like 60s and 70s, okay? 2 men and a woman. 2 men, oh my gosh. I believe it was 2 men and a woman. And then she went on the run, and they thought like she shaved her head. They had this manhunt going on for her. And then they captured and arrested her, and she's been charged with their murders. So, yeah. But we're going to talk about all of that now. I'm going to bring up his planning document, part of it. Okay, so this again was created on a laptop he had in the year 2000. He had categories such as problems, and under problems he had DNA, tire marks, blood stains, fingerprints, plastic bag, cat litter, witness, trace source of supplies, foot shoe prints, photos, misleaders, police stop, truck stuck, fingerprints, in gloves, plastic bags matched to box, hair and fiber. Under supplies, he had booties. He had lye, acid, police scanner, rope cord, saw, cutting tools, hairnets, photo film, burn can, foam drain cleaner, body wash wipes, tarps, drop cloths, medical gloves, bags, tape, large electric clips, ratcheted cargo strap, DS 1 Mill Road, DS2, bunch of question marks, dumpster site, next time recon, dumpster locations, TRG, T-1 Megan, small is good, T-UNK black. Yeah, I was going to woman hunter. Yeah, right. Okay, so let's go to I want to go back up here. So, the Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Heuermann now faces charges in the deaths of 6 women, and this spanning 30 years and multiple Long Island communities after he was indicted on 2 new murder charges today, Thursday. In the latest development in an investigation authorities in New York say is far from over. So now he's been indicted finally on these 2 new murder charges. So he's got 6 now. He had 4, he has 6 now. He pled not guilty to charges of second-degree murder in the 2003 death of Jessica Taylor and the 1993 death of Sandra Castilla. The 60-year-old architect was taken by surprise by Thursday's charges, and he is in a bad place. He's in a bad place, people, in terms of the new charges, and that's according to his attorney, Michael Brown. Heuermann was remanded without bail, and he is expected back in court on July 30th. So his lawyer said, and I quote, "One murder is obviously horrific, and it's a difficult thing to defend. And now we're at 6. There were gasps that were heard in the courtroom as the Suffolk County prosecutor Nicholas Santomartino described the very disturbing content that he said investigators discovered on Rex Heuermann's devices, including a planning document, which part of what you see here, okay, outlining a strategy for future murders. So the Word document was created on this laptop, again in the year 2000, and he modified it over several years about things such as how to dispose of a body, how to avoid getting caught, how not to leave DNA evidence, along with supplies that he needed. So, and that's all according to the bail application. There was a section of this document that was called Body Prep, and it detailed the steps to clean, dismember, and transport the bodies. There was a post-event section of the document, and that appeared to contain a checklist of tasks to avoid apprehension, including having a story set. The planning document methodically laid out like a blueprint his plans to murder in excruciating detail. His intent was specifically to locate victims, hunt them down, bring them under his control, and then to kill them. Other evidence revealed Rex Heuermann's significant collection of violent, bondage, and torture pornography that dated back to 1994. Now, the first victim that he was charged with, Taylor's remains, were discovered in Manorville in 2003, with more found along Ocean Parkway on Gilgo Beach in 2011. Manorville is about 45 miles northeast of Gilgo and about 40 miles east of Massapequa Park, which is Rex Heuermann's hometown. Her remains were found face up, decapitated, with her hands and arms severed below the elbows. A tattoo had been obliterated with a sharp object. Now, Taylor worked as a sex worker in New York City when she went missing. Officials know that Heuermann was in the city the last day that Taylor was seen there. When Taylor failed to return home for her mother's birthday, her family alerted law enforcement, and some of her body was recovered the next day. Witnesses said they saw a dark-colored pickup truck where her body was eventually recovered. And this is Jessica Taylor, one of his victims. You know, there was a movie I'd like to go back and watch about the Gilgo Beach murders, and I know that there was a family up here near me whose daughter was killed, and I can't remember what girl that was, but I'd like to watch that movie again, and I have to find out the name of it too, yeah. Castillo's remains were found in North Sea in 1993 by two hunters in the woods. She was found on her back. She had 25 sharp force injuries, but they were believed to have been done to her post-mortem after she was dead. The forensic testing on strands of hair that was found on or near both victims found that 99.96% of the North American population could be excluded as the source of the hairs, but Heuermann could not. The bail application that contains all this information highlights two different forensic laboratories determined that hairs recovered on 5 of the 6 victims were tied to members of his immediate family, or to people he lived with. Okay, 5 of the 6. Heuermann is the individual who murdered, stripped, restrained, and transported the remains of Jessica Taylor and Sandra Castillo, as well as the Gilgo Four, until they were each discovered in 93, 2003, 2010, and 2011, according to the bail application. Now remember, Heuermann was initially arrested in July of 2023, so we're going on a year almost, and he was charged with the murder in the killings of 4 women whose bodies were discovered bound with belts or tape and wrapped in burlap along that stretch of beach, Long Island's Gilgo Beach, in 2010. Those victims, Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, and Maureen Brainerd Barnes became known as the Gilgo Four. The women were among at least 11 sets of remains that were discovered near the waterfront in Long Island, Suffolk County since 2010. Authorities say that Heuermann led a double life with his wife and children away for most of the alleged murders. Now this is another of the victims, Sandra Castillo, believed to be a victim of Rex Heuermann. When his wife and children were away, it allowed him unfettered time to execute his plans for each victim without any fear that his family would uncover or learn of his involvement in these murders, according to prosecutors. Less than a week after Heuermann was arrested, his wife filed for divorce, but she has said since then that she does not believe her husband, Rex Heuermann, is capable of those alleged crimes. In January, Heuermann's attorney told reporters that his client is not guilty of these charges and looks forward to fighting the charges in court. Tierney announced on Thursday that investigators have discovered a plethora of new evidence. Now, we knew they were back at Rex Heuermann's house, I believe it was last week. And people were saying, what are they getting? What are they getting? Well, it was all obviously in preparation for this Thursday that, all of this went down in court. They discovered a plethora of new evidence at Heuermann's Massapequa Park house, including cameras, computers, hard drives, cell phones, and other devices. Detectives believe, based on offender characteristics of serial killers, there may be more alleged murders, according to officials briefed on the investigation. In most of these cases, a serial killer does not start killing in his 40s, said law enforcement official familiar with the case. That belief is what spurred investigators to not only expand their attempts to identify unidentified victims, but to re-examine dump sites and conduct additional searches of Heuermann's home, but to also begin re-examining unsolved missing persons cases. Investigators are looking at seemingly unrelated, unsolved homicides where there may be similarities among the victims, the crime scenes, or conditions of the body. And one of the investigators said, "We are not near the end of this investigation. We are very much at the beginning." So they're expecting lots more in that case. Let me go over here for a second. The new charges follow a lengthy investigation that included possible evidence on more than 350 electronic devices. They said they found images depicting violent sexual acts on the devices, along with a chilling document they allege planned out the murders, according to that bail application. Okay, now let me get something here. Hang on 1 minute. Okay, let's see here. I want to do this. Let's see this. Please, please. Thank you. I want to pull this up. Happy birthday, before I forget, to Marianne. It's your 85th birthday, and I'm the only one here. But happy birthday to you, Marianne. I hope you're here. I can't see the chat right now, but let me take a look. Happy birthday, Marianne. Hi, Painted Black. Hi, Christine. I hope you're around, Marianne. Happy birthday. You're not doing good still? Oh, yeah, I hope you had an awesome day. 85, what a blessing. Many, many more to you, Marianne. We love you. Happy birthday. Okay, so let me pull this over, and I hope you feel better, Painted Black. Okay, so this is the bail application. So let's go through this because this has a lot of info in it. You know, we love to go through documents here. So on July 14th, 2023, defendant Rex A. Heuermann was charged by a grand jury with the following 6 counts, which had been incorporated in Suffolk County indictment. Murder in the first degree in violation of New York State penal law. Okay, murder in the first degree. So this is going to put murder of Melissa Barthelemy, murder of Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, murder in the second degree, Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, On January 16, 2024, Rex Heuermann was charged by a grand jury in a superseding indictment, Suffolk County indictment, which incorporated not only the above counts, but the additional charge of murder in the second degree in the death of Maureen Branyard Barnes on or about July 9, 2007. Today, defendant Rex A. Heuermann stands before the court charged by the grand jury in another superseding indictment, which incorporates each and every one of the above counts, as well as the additional charges of murder in the second degree, in the death of Jessica Taylor, and again, murder in the second degree in the death of Sandra Castillo. And that was around November 19th to 20th of 1993, and for Jessica Taylor, July 21st to the 26th of 2003. The people filed a written bail application at Rex A. Heuermann's initial arraignment, which occurred on July 14th, 2023, as well as at the defendant's arraignment on the initial superseding indictment on January 16th of 2024. On July 14th of 2023, the Honorable Richard Ambrose ordered that defendant Rex A. Heuermann be remanded without bail. The matter was subsequently adjourned to August 1st, 2023, before the Honorable Timothy P. Mazzei. On August 1st, 2023, and in the ensuing appearances that have followed, this court has continued to remand the defendant without bail. Set forth below is the people's bail application in support of the new superseding indictment, which will expand on additional evidentiary developments in this investigation, now charging defendant Heuermann with the murders of two additional victims, Jessica Taylor and Sandra Castillo. Based on defendant Heuermann's indictment on additional murder charges as it pertains to now a fifth and sixth victim, the serious and heinous nature of these serial murders, the planning and the forethought that went into these crimes, the strength of the people's case, the length of incarceration the defendant faces upon conviction, the extended period of time that this defendant was able to avoid apprehension, and the remaining facts set forth herein and contained within Exhibit A, the people remain steadfast that the only means to ensure that defendant Rex A. Heuermann's return to court is to remand him without bail. Okay, so then the next heading is the 2003 and 2011 discovery of human remains of Jessica Taylor. On or about July 26 of 2003, an individual whose identity is known to law enforcement, hereinafter Witness 1, was walking his or her dog just west of Halsey Manor Road in Manorville, that's in Suffolk County, New York. At the time, the Witness 1 observed what appeared to be human remains, which prompted him or her to call 911. Upon arrival, members of the Suffolk County Police Department observed the remains of a female, later identified as Jessica Taylor. Miss Taylor was found lying on her back with her legs bent underneath her. Notably, the victim was decapitated, and both of Ms. Taylor's arms had been severed from her body below her elbows. Moreover, a tattoo on the victim's torso had been severely obliterated by a sharp object. Investigators believe the mutilation of the victim's tattoo, the decapitation of her head, and the dismemberment of her arms were acts perpetrated by Rex Heuermann to inhibit the identification of the victim via facial recognition, fingerprints, and or tattoo identification. During the initial investigation in Manorville in 2003, the victim's head, arms, and hands were not found at the scene, and their location remained unknown to law enforcement for approximately 8 years. On March 29, 2011, Ms. Taylor's skull, hands, and forearm were discovered along Ocean Parkway, just east of Gilgo Beach in Suffolk County, New York. Notably, Ms. Taylor's remains were located on the same side of the road where Maureen Branyard Barnes' Melissa Barthelemy Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, hereinafter the Gilgo 4, had been found just several months prior in December of 2010. Each of the Gilgo 4 victims, as well as the skull, hands, and forearm of Ms. Taylor, was recovered on the same side of the road at a depth of within 50 feet from the edge of the parkway. Furthermore, Ms. Taylor's remains were located less than a mile from where the Gilgo 4 were discovered. So they're showing you the spots here. So it says 1 is Jessica Taylor, 2 is Maureen Branyard Barnes, 3 Melissa Barthelemy, 4 Megan Waterman, 5 Amber Costello, Jessica Taylor was last seen on or about July 19th, 2003 in New York City. The investigation to date has established that in July of 2003, Ms. Taylor was working as a sex worker in the area of Midtown Manhattan. On July 21st of 2003 at approximately 8:41 p.m., Ms. Taylor utilized her cellular telephone, hereinafter the Taylor phone, to speak to her mother. Based on witness interviews and an analysis of telephone records, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force has learned that the two spoke for approximately 7 minutes. She spoke to her mother for 7 minutes. During that call, Ms. Taylor had arranged to visit her mother. See, now this is in Poughkeepsie, so this might be the girl, because I think her mother lives in Ellenville, if this is the girl. During that call, Ms. Taylor had arranged to visit her mother on July 25th, 2003 in Poughkeepsie, New York for her mother's birthday. Less than 2 hours later, at approximately 10:22 p.m., the Taylor phone placed an outgoing call which lasted approximately 2 minutes, and thereafter the Taylor phone records revealed no further outgoing calls or accepting incoming calls. On or about July 25th, 2003, when her daughter failed to arrive at her Poughkeepsie residence or answer any phone calls, Ms. Taylor's mother notified law enforcement. At the time of Ms. Taylor's disappearance, Rex Heuermann worked in the same vicinity as where Ms. Taylor was known to street work as a sex worker. Records seized during the execution of prior search warrants reveal that Heuermann was in fact present in Midtown Manhattan on July 21st, 2003, the same date that Ms. Taylor disappeared. On July 6th, 2003, and the days thereafter, members of the Suffolk County Police Department canvassed the area around Halsey Manor Road, Manorville, in the vicinity of where Ms. Taylor's remains have been found. As a result, investigators spoke to a witness who had, on July 25, 2003, at approximately 10:30 p.m., observed a dark-colored Chevrolet pickup truck backed into the same wooded area where Ms. Taylor's body was later found. Based upon their investigation, law enforcement determined that these observations would have occurred approximately 13 hours before Witness 1's 911 call. Notably, the investigation to date has established that defendant Heuermann purchased a 2002 dark-colored Chevrolet Avalanche pickup truck. On or about March 22nd, 2002, from Ramp Chevrolet in Port Jefferson Station, New York. Accordingly, on July 25th, 2003, at 10:30 p.m., defendant Heuermann would have been in possession of a vehicle matching the description of the one observed in the vicinity of where Miss Taylor's remains had been found on Halsey Manor Road. A forensic analysis of Rex Heuermann's digital devices also revealed the following: that on or about July 28, 2003, Rex Heuermann accessed a Newsday article entitled "Cops Seek Help in IDing Manorville Body," regarding the discovery of Ms. Taylor's human remains. That online activity was subsequently deleted, and on or about July 29, 2003, Rex Heuermann conducted an internet search for a new Chevrolet Avalanche, despite his 2002 Avalanche being just over 1 year old. The analysis further shows Heuermann also attempted to delete the search for a new vehicle. Notably, this activity occurred just days after Ms. Taylor's was discovered and just days after witnesses observed a vehicle matching the physical description of Heuermann leaving the scene. Okay, so this is the Chevrolet Avalanche. Exterior color. Arrival blue. 40,572. From Ramp Chevrolet in Port Jefferson Station, New York. And then file details accessed and deleted. Finally, while the make and model of the vehicle Heuermann searched for is the same as his 2002 vehicle, the Chevy Avalanche pickup truck, the exterior color is different. Arrival blue, as well as another in Summit white, which are significantly brighter exterior paint offerings by Chevrolet when compared to Heuermann's dark green 2002 Chevy Avalanche. Hairs recovered from the remains of Jessica Taylor. During the course of this investigation, Ms. Taylor's body was examined by a forensic scientist with the Suffolk County Crime Laboratory, which revealed that Ms. Taylor had been decapitated, dismembered at her arms below her elbows, and revealed irregular disruption of the victim's nipples and the obliteration of her tattoo. During the examination of Ms. Taylor's body, a male human hair was recovered, specifically from a surgical drape that had been underneath the victim, hereinafter male hair underneath Taylor. A subsequent examination of the male hair underneath Taylor led to the determination that it was a human head hair with Caucasian European characteristics. However, it was based on the DNA testing capabilities at the SCCL unsuitable for further DNA testing at that time. On or about August 24th, 2023, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force brought a cutting of the male hair underneath Taylor to an outside forensics laboratory previously referred to in Exhibit A as Forensic Laboratory Number 2, which specializes in forensic mitochondrial analysis. On or about February 1st of 2024, Forensic Laboratory 2 issued a report concluding that the mitochondrial DNA profile developed from the male hair underneath Taylor and the profile developed from the defendant's buccal swab are the same, specifically at a rate that would, as per the EMPOP database, exclude 99.96% of the North American population as the contributor of that hair that was recovered underneath the decapitated, dismembered remains of Jessica Taylor, while 99.96% of the North American population can be excluded as the contributor of the male hair underneath Taylor. The defendant, Rex Heuermann, cannot be excluded as the contributor of that hair that was recovered underneath the remains of Jessica Taylor. On or about March 8th of 2024, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force brought a cutting of the male hair that was underneath Taylor and a DNA extract of Rex A. Heuermann's buccal swab to an outside independent laboratory which applies DNA techniques and direct genome sequencing in difficult-to-solve forensic casework, and the identification of human remains. On or about April 29th, 2024, Forensic Laboratory Number 1 issued a report that indicated it had developed a nuclear DNA profile for not only the male hair that was underneath the victim, Jessica Taylor, but also from Rex Heuermann's buccal swab. Forensic Laboratory Number 1 was then able to conduct a 1-to-1 autosomal nuclear DNA comparison between said profile developed from the male hair underneath Jessica Taylor to Rex Heuermann's genotype file developed from his buccal swab, which resulted in the conclusion that the DNA profile generated from the male hair underneath Jessica Taylor is 1.837 times 10 to the 603 power times more likely to have come from a person genetically identical to Rex Heuermann's SNP genotype file than from an unrelated individual. Based on the foregoing, it is significant that 2 forensic laboratories have now independently determined that the aforementioned hair recovered from the surgical drape underneath the remains of Jessica Taylor are substantially more likely to have been derived from a person genetically identical to defendant Heuermann's mitochondrial and nuclear profiles, which provide further support that Rex A. Heuermann murdered, dismembered, decapitated, and transported the remains of Jessica Taylor to Manorville and Gilgo Beach until the victims' remains were ultimately discovered in July of 2003 and March of 2011, respectively. Now, as part of the ongoing investigation, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force has also established that Rex Heuermann's wife and children were out of the state at the time of Ms. Taylor's disappearance and murder. A consistent theme attributable to the defendant for each of the charged homicides thus far, which would have allowed the defendant unfettered time and opportunity to execute these crimes. Specifically, in 2002 to 2003, the defendant's daughter, Victoria, was a kindergarten student at McKenna Elementary School located in Massapequa Park, New York. 2002 to 2003, okay. At the time, Victoria was classmates with an individual whose identity is also known to law enforcement hereinafter, Witness 2. Based on post-arrest interviews with witnesses, including Witnesses 2's family and Victoria Heuermann, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force has learned that